This is where the Lower Tohickon Creek begins. Millions of gallons of water are released through the Lake Nockamixon Dam and flow 11.5 miles in the stream before reaching the Delaware River. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources allows 11 cubic feet per second of water to flow from the dam during the summer months.
But the problem with that is that 11 cubic feet per second is a drought flow. It's a 1 in 10 year type of drought flow. And so all of this beautiful habitat that you see here on the Tohickon Creek is going to dry up if every time things get even just a little bit dry, the only water that comes out of Lake Nockamixon is that 11 CFS.
The Delaware Riverkeeper Network, the Tinicum Conservancy, the National Park Service, and a number of residents say more water needs to be released.
Instead, this stream should be seeing more like 20 to 30 CFS, cubic feet per second, in terms of the water volume, which is going to increase the total habitat in the stream and create an overall greater abundance and diversity of aquatic life in the system.
That when the Nockamixon Dam was built in the late 1960s, there was a part of the plan in building that Nockamixon Dam that said there must be a sufficient amount of cold water released from the bottom of Nockamixon Reservoir in order to sustain the ecological values the Tohickon Creek had prior to the dam being built.
An important aquatic plant, Podostemum, is found in the Tohickon.
So all of this green coverage right here is Podostemum ceratophyllum, this very unique species of plant that is dying off most places. You can see in a couple places it's actually flowering and producing small little seed pods. And even up close like this, you can see all of the aquatic invertebrates that are colonizing this.
The Podostemum in the Tohickon could be the source of recently discovered patches of the plant south of here in the Delaware River.
This is a species that is threatened throughout the state of Pennsylvania. The Tohickon Creek serves as a unique hotspot for the abundance of this very sensitive aquatic plant. Literally might be the most sensitive species in our entire ecosystem to some of the toxics that we know that are being dumped into our river systems.
The stream is also home to a healthy population of invertebrates. They play an important role in drinking water quality and provide a food source for other wildlife.
So here we have a common but really amazing creature in these ecosystems called a hellgrammite. These guys are a really key part of the ecosystem. As a top predator, they help maintain the overall diversity of the ecosystem by feeding on all levels of the trophic system below them, other aquatic insects, worms, other non-insects in the ecosystem. So really important top predator.
The groups also say the Tohickon is designated as a cold water fishery stream, but that the state releases the warm top water from Lake Nockamixon into the creek.
But the park holds 12 billion gallons of water, and most of that is cold water, cold deep water in that very deep reservoir. And so if instead of releasing that warm water off the top of the reservoir, the park released a greater fraction of that as that cold deep water release, which we call hypolimnetic release. The hypolimnion is that deep lower layer of water behind a reservoir. If they released that cold water into Tohickon Creek, not only would we have greater habitat because we had more water flowing in the stream, but we would start to get some of the more sensitive species of animals, species like trout, species like some mayflies and stoneflies and caddisflies that could live here in the Tohickon Creek year-round.
The groups are also calling on the state DEP to redesignate the Tohickon as an exceptional value stream.
What DEP agreed to do, along with the Pennsylvania DCNR, was to do a water budget study at the Nockamixon Reservoir to determine how much water the reservoir holds as opposed to how much is being released. And could they afford to release more water to the Tohickon Creek in order to provide the ecological standard that the Pennsylvania DEP is saying is required in order to get the exceptional value status. And we are there right now. We are still in discussions and preliminary studies to determine if we can get more water released from the Nockamixon Reservoir into the Lower Tohickon Creek.
The stream runs through Ralph Stover State Park and a county park, the The groups believe the state has a responsibility to allow higher flows for the benefit of people who come here for recreation.
So it's a relatively simple ask of DCNR and Nockamixon State Park. We're saying, hey, we know you've been operating under these rules since the 1970s, but we know that we can do better. You have a responsibility, and here we're standing in another state park. We're standing in Ralph Stover State Park. You have a responsibility partly to your park users at Lake Nockamixon State Park, but you have a responsibility to the folks that are using Ralph Stover State Park, responsibility to folks using the county parks down here, to also protect and enhance the ecology. Now that you've dammed up the Tohickon Creek and forever altered the ecosystem by this large dam on it, you now have a responsibility to make sure that there is ecological integrity downstream here on Tohickon Creek so that it benefits the ecology of the stream and it benefits all of the people that would like to recreate.
There's no word on if or when state environmental officials may change the water release policy. This project was funded in part by the Lower Delaware Wild and Scenic Management Council with support from the National Park Service.